That's like one of our core principles is evolution. And we know how people are consuming content. So I'm constantly looking at the way other people are producing content. I'm looking at media companies outside of real estate because that's not the place to look, right? If I want to see forward-thinking media, I am looking at companies like Barstool Sport, like Valuetainment, like Reminder Media, like, any other company.
This is Stay Paid, the marketing podcast that gives listeners a competitive edge to stay motivated, find inspiration, and discover proven real-world tactics from some of the best marketers across the nation.
Welcome to Stay Paid, and I'm Joshua Stike along with Luke Acree. Before we bring on our guest today, we'd love it if you take a minute to subscribe to Stay Paid on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you're not already subscribed, and while you're there, drop us a review. We'll read it here on the show. This week's feature review comes from All Wines. They say, exceptionally informative and fun. Stay Paid Podcast has become my go-to real estate pick-me-up motivational podcast. It's very relatable and lots of fun to listen to every time they do a show. I always have good takeaways, and both the guys, their topics, and guests are so relatable. So thank you very much for that.
I'm blushing right now.
That nice review.
I love it.
Speaking of amazing guests that you guys are going to love, our guest today is Eric Simon, but you may know him better as The Broke Agent on Instagram. He's the founder of The Broke Agent and co-founder and chief of content at BAM, Broke Agent Media. He's also co-host both the Overasked podcast and The Walkthrough. Oh, Eric, welcome to Stay Paid. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I like reading the reviews at the beginning of an episode. That's brilliant to get more reviews. And the fact that we never implemented that in our years of doing the Overasked podcast or the walkthrough, nice, I just learned something immediately on this episode. So thank you for having me. I'm out. That's all I need.
That's it, man. It's R&D, rip off and duplicate. It's my favorite method. I love doing R&D. No, man, I'm super excited to have you on. I joked. I mean, we're interviewing a celebrity here, man. The Broke Agent. We've been following your Instagram forever. You're hilarious, but you have transitioned now from comedy. I mean, you're still doing some of the comedy to like real news. And I want to hear this story of like, how have you taken this brand, The Broke Agent, how you built that, and then this whole journey that you've been on to build this media company that I feel like, and maybe I'm totally wrong here, but it's competing with like Inman News. And
so
those
we're out to destroy them. And every legacy media company in existence. So yes, exactly.
Oh, this is gonna be good. I can see the headline now. Broke Agent founder says he will destroy Inman News.
I've said that plenty of times before. So this wouldn't be the first headline of it. I've been trying to make my own headline about it. So perfect.
I love it, man. But if you can share with people like this journey you've been on of the brand and building the Broke Agent, and then now transitioning to Broke Agent Media.
Yeah. I mean, it started very naturally. The Broke Agent started as just the inner monologue of a agent who did not like selling real estate and sucked at selling real estate and had a bunch of inner anxieties about the selling process and lead generation process. I started this in 2015. So it's almost been 9 years now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
When I started, when I was 25 years old, and all I would do was have an inner monologue during an open house, an inspection, or after talking with a client. I would tweet it out and I would screenshot that tweet and post it to Facebook and Instagram, and saw a following kind of quickly develop because there was no one else in the real estate space that was being that raw and authentic about the inner demons and anxieties and hardships that agents were having. I feel like everybody back in 2015, 16 was so bought into hustle and grind culture, and this still exists today, of course, but this was kind of during the uprise of the Gary V's and the Grant Cardones and those sort of characters. And every real estate agent was just posting success after success after success, right? It was suited and booted, ties, selfies in front of cars, luxury real estate, motivational quotes, selfies at gyms, like everything. All real estate content turned me off beyond belief.
You're saying my Instagram. That sounds a lot like my Instagram.
Yes, the selfies. I don't know. Like there's a lot of people. I mean,
it is a lot like my Instagram, but probably shamefully so. Keep going though.
Wait, like nothing wrong with gym selfies every now and then. But if that's 90% of the content and you're a real estate agent, I think maybe you should switch it up. But so basically, the whole goal was just a place of solace almost for realtors. It was a place for me to get out all the things I was feeling. And I never really envisioned like, okay, this is going to become a media company. It was just like, all right, this is actually picking up traction. This is cool. This is funny. This is a brand that people like. So I'm going to keep doing it while I'm selling real estate, because the real estate content fed the Broke Agent content. And the Broke Agent, to me, was like the perfect release where it was like, all right, I'm not liking anything that I'm doing right now, but I at least have this outlet to start growing a brand here. So very early on, I was proud that we built it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram simultaneously, which is really important for anyone building a brand to not go all in on one platform right off the bat. We had a YouTube channel. I even did a podcast at the beginning called Caravan Confessions, where I would have agents on telling their crazy stories about something that happened to them in real estate. I think that lasted like 6-7 episodes. But I was just trying different stuff to see like, all right, am I good on video? Can I be funny in person? Should this be skits? Should it be posts? Like, what really is it? And then basically for 3 years, I just was growing it, right? Like, let's just keep posting on Instagram, keep posting on Facebook and Twitter, and let's just kind of see where this goes. So I could keep going, but I don't know if you want to direct the conversation anywhere else. I don't want to tell the entire story for 30 minutes.
Well, tell a little bit.
Monologue.
I'm curious, like you we're doing real estate, you're doing the comedy stuff, and really just an expression of kind of what's happening to you. And did you have success in real estate? I don't know if I've ever heard that side of the story. Like, do you still sell real estate? Do you still sell it today? Did you have success doing it, or?
I have my license today. I wouldn't say I had success, maybe 4 or 5 deals per year, which in LA could kind of get you by.
Yeah, it's not bad
but
in LA.
I was always doing odd jobs on the side as well. I was writing for a cryptocurrency at one time called Alpha Token. I was doing social media consulting. I was always trying to do different blogs and different kind of sports blogs. I was writing for something called Bacon Sports. So real estate was always like, okay, this is actually making money. And there was probably like a 6-month period where I actually fully bought in, where I actually knew what was going on. I knew all of the inventory. I was confident with my clients. I liked showing property. I saw open houses every Tuesday, every Saturday, every Sunday, and was sitting them every Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday. But there was always this pull to the broke agent where I was like, I'm really good at this. I like making people laugh. I get so much more enjoyment out of coming up with these captions, writing these blogs, and getting people to laugh and feel entertained. Like, that just felt like my lane so much more than selling real estate, where I felt like I was just playing the role of a real estate agent. So I wouldn't say I was a successful realtor. I mean, I called myself the broke agent, right? So there was a lot of truth in everything that was going on. Right. Yeah. Horrible move on my part calling it the broke agent, by the way. That took a lot to climb out of.
I think it worked really well for you. It truly is hilarious. So now talk about this shift, right? Because you have started BAM, which is the Broke Agent Media. So you're shifting from obviously just doing this broke agent content that's more comedic and more just, talking about the soullessness of what happens in real estate, to actually reporting what I call like news, like timely content and content that is, both educational and entertaining. Talk about that shift and what's made you go down this route.
Yeah, so it very naturally, the media company started building organically. So I want to say 2018, 2019, I started writing ebooks and more blog posts. I was writing for a company called The Close, where I was doing blog posts about Instagram strategy. And then I was doing ebooks to just basically build an email list. I didn't know what I was going to do with that email list, but I know I needed to have an email list. I know I should start sending a newsletter. Then during the pandemic in 2020, this guy, Ben Fisher from Long Beach, reached out to me and wanted to do funny content. And finally, like 2020, which was like the golden era of real estate content creation, where people were kind of locked in their homes. So people were on TikTok doing, focusing way more on actually creating funny, entertaining content. This guy reached out to me, said, let's do a show. Called it the Broke News Network, BNN for short. And we did 8 to 10 minute kind of SNL style videos that we posted to IGTV, which was stupid because Instagram TV was a complete failure. We should have been building this on YouTube into longer form content. But basically that show was marketing tips, real estate news, and then a funny story that happened in real estate. And we'd have it scripted out, and I'd go to this guy's garage in Long Beach and film it in like 100 degrees, but it was so fun. And I realized that I was actually decent on camera and that I liked the script writing and I liked the aspect of producing a show. Then Matt Leonetti hit me up. I was like, we got to do something. He's in Canada. It's still, heart of the pandemic. We said, let's do a podcast. He came up with the name Over Ask. Yes, Matt, you did 100%. This is not my name. He gets very upset if I claim that I came up with it. And we came up with the Over Ask podcast, which is, really changed the brand because we started interviewing marketing experts in real estate. And then it became agent tactics, and it became door knocking and cold calling, and basically just had all of the industry experts you could think of on this Over Ask podcast. As I'm building that, the email list is building. We actually start getting some sponsorships. I'm doing more blog posts. I'm doing more ebooks. And then I connect with Byron Lazine, who's been my good friend for years in the industry, who I met at a real estate conference in 2016. He had a media company. The guy is a real estate media savant. He knows about real estate news. This is something I'm not even that interested in, to tell you the truth. I like sports, but I love marketing. So we combine marketing with his knowledge of real estate news and basically formed Broke Agent Media, which is now just BAM because we dropped the name Broke. And then we combined the podcast that he was doing, which is The Real Word, and then added a bunch of creators and podcasts to basically form, in our head, what we thought was going to be the Barstool Sports of real estate, where you have the legacy media companies and then us kind of breaking down the news and then delivering it to you in a more entertaining and valuable way. So all very natural. It was never like, this is the master plan, let's create a media company, like from the start of the Broke Agent. But as I started adding these assets and creators and realizing that there's so much talent in the real estate space of people that could do podcasts and do video and do skits and do blogs, that's when it really came to be. And then Byron and I formed our partnership, and then launched Broke Agent Media in April of 2022. And now we have a big staff. We actually have writers, we have editors, we have a video team. We have multiple podcasts. I want to say we have 6 or 7 right now. Whew. We have creators that are working exclusively for us. And yeah, we're on a mission to take over real estate media. And I think we're doing a good job at it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is awesome. What are your goals with BAM then? Kind of looking forward. What are you hoping to accomplish? Where are you taking
I want to destroy NAR at some point. I want to take over.
I wondered that based on one of your more recent posts.
I was going to say you're attacking NAR a little bit right now because of the scandals and all the stuff that's going on.
They do nothing for real estate agents, but there was never a media company that existed when I was a real estate agent that I found interesting or entertaining. I felt it was just boring blog posts behind 6 or 7 different paywalls that were feeding me information that either I knew or that wasn't even being articulated to me in a way that agents actually understand. We have actually agents on our staff. Byron is the #1 team in Connecticut. He knows what the hell he's doing. I know what I'm doing with marketing. All of our creators are actual practitioners that sell real estate, sell an enormous amount of real estate, know what they're talking about. And we know that people consume content differently now. They don't just go on a website, right? You don't just necessarily type in content. You get content fed to you on your phones through social media. We're a scroll first generation. And the media companies that exist right now that aren't BAM in real estate and maybe the Real Deal, they're just pushing out blogs and sending out emails and they're hosting events, but I'm not seeing any video content. I'm not seeing the social first content that people want to get, where they don't necessarily want to read a full blog post, which we have great blog posts, but they want to see a carousel swiper. They want to see a clip from a podcast. They want to see it broken down in actual short form video. Yeah. So that's what we're doing. And our goal is to become the biggest real estate media company, like straight up. Like we want the biggest conferences. We want the biggest virtual events. We want the biggest email list, YouTube channel. We want it all.
Yeah, well, you're so right about, like, I had never thought about that with Inman News, because I'm a subscriber of Inman News. Yeah. We've been in the industry a long time, so I read their stuff. But you're right, it's not video based, it's not social first, it's mainly just email blast oriented to me, and that's how I kind of get into that feed. Can you talk a little bit about like how you see like content in terms of distribution? Because I think that can apply. Our audience is a lot of real estate agents, but we also have financial advisors, insurance agents that listen. When you think about the content and how to, come up with it, how to distribute it, like what do you think strategy wise in terms of being able to do that at a mass scale without getting, here's our pain point. I guess I'll throw a pain point in there to make it relevant. Our pain point is we've built content machines here at Reminder Media to pump out content, but it lacks sexiness, appeal. Like it gets very just mundane and it's just the same type of thing over and over again because you built a successful machine to pump out a ton of content, but you're getting the same type of template every single time. No offense. Josh is like looking at me like, wait, what are you saying about my content? But that's like the problem, I think, when you're trying to do it at mass levels is you just do the same thing over and over and over again and it's templated. So how do you combat that?
Well, we evolve. That's like one of our core principles is evolution. And we know how people are consuming content. So I'm constantly looking at the way other people are producing content. I'm looking at media companies outside of real estate because that's not the place to look, right? If I want to see forward-thinking media, I am looking at companies like Barstool Sport, like Valuetainment, like Reminder Media, like, any other company to see how they're producing these clips to say, okay, this one needs a powerful hook. It needs all these jump cuts. It needs these captions popping up. And then it needs a call to action at the end. Are they using audio? Are they not using audio? Okay, maybe the clips aren't working right now. Maybe the algorithm is not feeding Instagram Reels as much. So how can we turn this into a carousel post? How can we screenshot one of the actual clips and use that as a preview slide to swipe then to the clip? Because that'll capture someone's attention more. So I'd say the number one principle is evolving, and then also consuming so much content that you actually see what's working. Because if you're just mass producing content and it's the same thing and you're expecting different results, it's not going to happen, because you're not seeing how these other companies are evolving, how other content is being produced. I don't know if that necessarily answered the question, but we look at like a news story, like the NAR story, for example, and then we think, how do we distribute this? It's a blog post about the story. Then that blog post, how can I break that blog post down into a carousel Instagram post that captures people's attention with the first slide, gives them information, and then says like a blanket statement about NAR at the end to solicit as many comments as possible. Then with that post, how can we turn that post into a video clip? Okay, Byron's going to do a podcast on the Real Word about NAR. And then that's a 20-minute long form podcast that's going to get 2 or 3 clips about NAR that we could then mass produce. And then what can I do on the Broke Agent account to boost the signal of everything that's happening in BAM? And then that's when I said, what does NAR actually do for us? Like, we're paying dues that are being used for lawsuits. I forgot the actual post, but it was a post that got 10,000 likes and over 1,000 comments that I collab with the BAM post. So I'm constantly thinking, like, how do we, get this in front of as many people as possible? Let me pull up that post actually.
Yeah, that's crazy. How do you control the brand? I'm just curious in the sense of, like, you're in a really unique position because you're going to have things said all the time that are a representation of BAM, right? But it's also news, and you got to let the writer write. Like, how do you control the brand that they're not doing stuff off what you would want? Or do you not care how controversial?
No, of course I care. I'm the chief of content. I look at all this stuff. I don't read, every sentence of every blog post like I did at the beginning, but I wholeheartly trust our writers, our editing team. There's no clip that isn't posted without me, because I actually post the clips. So if there's a podcast, 30, 40-minute podcast, we get 3 clips out of it. I'm going back and forth with the clip team on what the actual content should be. Like, we just put out a Real Word video that I thought had a kind of misleading title about NAR, and then we switched it up. So before anything's actually published, we have an entire system where I'm getting sent the thumbnail, getting sent the captions, getting sent the blogs beforehand to see everything that's going on. But I trust our writers, trust our video staff. So most of it, it's fine.
That's super helpful to hear. I love hearing that, because obviously you have a big media company at this point and growing. And the fact that you're still involved and looking at every clip is super powerful to hear for someone like myself. I heard one time, like, Russell Brunson was still writing his emails. And that was
the emails.
Yeah, that was a powerful thing for me too, because it's like, as a business leader, you're constantly trying to get leverage by taking yourself out of a stage, but you never want to take yourself too much out to where it loses its actual authenticity or actually what it was. So it's a hard balance to play.
Well, we're always trying to still have the DNA of the Broke Agent within all the BAM content. So anywhere that we could actually add humor, make it unfiltered, make it more quick hitting, that's what we do differently than these other companies that are kind of more watered down and just kind of giving you, whether it's the facts or not, they're just giving you the story. Like, we're actually giving opinions on stories. The real estate industry seems to be so soft in the sense that anytime you criticize anybody, whether it's in a Facebook group or on an Instagram post, you have all these people come out and say, oh, like, don't do that. That's horrible. Like, we all, have to be in this together. It's like, we should call out that sucks, right? Whether it's something that's happening with NAR or content that sucks. Like, we want to be real with the audience. Like, we want the audience to consume our content and trust us because they know they're going to get it from us straight. That post just said, this is right after the NAR controversy. It said, so let me get this straight. We pay NAR hundreds of dollars a year to sell our information, throw terrible conferences, overpay executives who do nothing, fund lawyers to handle scandals, and to preach a code of ethics that they aren't following themselves. And then I screenshot it, and then I did a meme about NAR leadership, and then I screenshotted from Byron's post just how much all their executives are getting paid. So that was just an example of how to distribute the content from BAM onto the Broke Agent.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's super powerful. Super powerful example.
Talk about, you mentioned conferences in there. Talk about conferences, because I know that's something that you've been doing, and you have, by the time this comes out, you would have just had BAM Camp. I'm not sure if you have one coming out after this, after that one, but what made you get into the conference space? How is that different from some of these other conferences going on?
Well, if this comes out, Bandcamp was incredible. It was the best real estate conference in the history of real estate, and it went off without a hitch.
Is this the first one, or have you done Bandcamp already?
I haven't done Bandcamp. We've done Bam Bash. So we've thrown 2 parties at Tom Ferry conferences, which were huge. First one was like 300 people.
Jeez.
The one we just threw on August 22nd. This year was 400 people on a rooftop bar. Whole point of that is to make the brand more tangible. We have all of these creators and, influencers or, big agents that work with us and for us, that people like them. People like hanging out with them. People like partying with us. And I like partying. And it's part of the Broke Agent brand, right? It's part of BAM. It's like, we want to make real estate more fun. I've been to a bunch of real estate happy hours that are not fun. And we wanted to have a DJ. We want it to be a potential pool party. We want people getting hammered and having a great time. And
wait, that sounds like a lot of real estate conferences I've been to. There's a lot of hammered people.
You're right, you're right. Look, we're not the first people to throw real estate happy hours. I'll tell you that. And maybe cut that. We want people to get hammered part. But we want people to associate the brand with fun and excitement. Yeah. And that's what we bring to these conferences. So the reason we want to do more in-person events is because we want to show what we could deliver value-wise, and it creates an enormous amount of FOMO. It makes the brand tangible, right? There's a reason why Intimate News has been so powerful so long. Yeah. They throw good conferences. They have a huge conference twice a year. They have Luxury Connect. They have little satellite conferences, and we can't be a media company and not be in the event space. And we think we're going to do it different than everybody else. So hopefully when this comes out, Bandcamp crushed.
I love it. I'm sure it will, man. Knowing you guys' track record, I'm sure it will. Speaking of getting your opinion on things, because you're putting opinions out, I'd love to throw some rapid fire questions at you to see your take.
Right. So hopefully it's nothing on the real estate market, because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
No, it's AI, right? AI is all the latest, greatest. Like, do you think AI is going to push real estate agents out of the market? I mean, what's your opinion?
I think it's like anything. The agents that don't use AI will get left behind, just like the agents who don't use content marketing or video will get left behind. We were just talking at the Tom Ferry conference, like I want to say 50-60% of the conference was about AI. And I actually got a ton of anxiety about how we're not utilizing it enough. So I don't think it's going to replace agents or necessarily push people out. I think it's just going to leave people behind, if that's kind of,
okay.
That makes sense.
Next rapid fire question is, obviously there's this huge shift happening with EXP and Real versus the Keller Williams and the Remaxes. Where do you see Keller Williams eventually dying, that type of brokerage dying, if they don't shift to being like an EXP and a Real when it comes to not only commission splits?
But like with rev share?
With rev share, ability to be more ability to open up in different states faster for agents. Like, do you have any opinion on that, of this whole, I call it the battle that's happening at the top with these brokerages, but any opinion on that?
I don't know. I feel like some of these companies like EXP, and I mean, how many agents is Real at now? Like 12,000
something
already?
Like that, yeah.
I think it attracts a lot of agents that want to use their influence to grow their downlines for sure. Yep. And I think that then a lot of those agents stop selling real estate, which is kind of the goal of these brokerages, right? So I don't really have an answer for that.
No, but I think you're down the path I would go to, man. I think it is a multi-level marketing. I mean, all great sales businesses are multi-level marketing. I don't view it as a bad thing, but at the end of the day, I think you're spot on. It's attracting agents that can recruit a downline. And the key will be in, can they continue to sell real estate with that downline? Okay, next question for you.
I'll just say this, like Real's done a great, like I have a ton of friends at Real, and I feel like they were going about it in a better way than EXP, where you would speak to an EXP agent, and EXP's kind of come off this a little bit too over the last 3 or 4 years, where they were so heavy recruiting. Real does a good job at throwing these masterminds and events, and they attract people with content marketing. So it does feel way more natural. And the people at the top there that I know are great people. It's just, I feel like it is going to attract a certain agent where they're like I could just grow my downline and I could just like produce content and become a speaker. And obviously this is all going to get watered down the more and more they grow. Like if you join Real 6 months from now, a year from now, and you still have those same aspirations of having a 2,000 person downline, it's just not going to be the same as it is at the beginning.
Yeah, great point. When you're a master at social, man, we look up to you in social. When you think of the platforms of the future, like where would you tell people to focus? YouTube, TikTok, X, like where's your heart and soul?
My heart and soul is with Instagram, but I would say focus on YouTube and email growth. Email growth, you actually own. You own your email addresses. You are not at the mercy of an algorithm like you are with Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and I mean, even YouTube. So, but YouTube would be my second choice, because if you're trying to create a real estate business, a hyper local YouTube channel is by far the easiest and best route to go, in the sense that you could have 500 subscribers, 100 subscribers, 1,000 subscribers, and that algorithm will work so well for you in a specific location, coming up with titles and thumbnails that people are actually searching, that conversion rate is so much better than the conversion rate that you get on Instagram. You could have 50,000 Instagram followers, but will that actually convert? Will people even see your post? Will people actually click on a link on your stories? Are people going to get more information from you out of a short form video when they could build a ton of trust for you from a long form video? Those 4 or 5 minute videos on YouTube, that sort of trust that you're building because you're just talking to them for a longer time, they really get to know you, they're more likely to work with you. So I would say look at the people like Ken Pozak in Orlando. I don't know if you guys follow him, but he's building an entire media company with the Orlando Reel. And his YouTube channel, where he's just created all these systems and all these incredible videos and short form from his videos. Like if you're doing long form videos, you have something to send an email, you have 5 or 6 clips to cut it up from, you are attracting all those people that are just searching on YouTube, like your actual consumers. I mean, it's YouTube and email are the best is the answer.
It's interesting. We've been hearing that a lot recently
YouTube
from top performers in multiple industries, that YouTube keeps coming up as like the place to be. Last question and rapid fire from me is, obviously very successful and have obviously overcome a lot and great mindset and all this stuff. What's your book that you would recommend, or it doesn't have to be a book. It could be, someone you follow, but who has really fed into you where you have been able to grow the way you have?
Yeah, I've read like 3 books. Honestly, I've read
Holes. I knew it, man.
Prisoner of Azkaban. What do you mean you knew it? How could you know it? Just by talking to me, you knew I've only read 3 books.
I mean, I was just like, yep. He's like me. No, he's not a reader. He came in.
The book or the quote question. I don't know. I honestly do like Tom Ferry a lot. He's been a great mentor, and watching at his conference, he had this like 30-minute talk after lunch on the first day of how he was showing his revenue growth and how, some years it went down and went up, and he was just talking about like, he just never quit. And I know that's so cliche to say, but that's a principle that I've used. Like, I never stop posting. I never stop producing content. This has been 9 years of doing this. There's a reason this brand has survived, and it's because we show up every single day. Like, there's an email every single day. There's a YouTube video every day. There's Instagram posts every single day. There's no days off. It's a media company. Like, you don't go on CNN or Fox News and there's just no posts up, right? So, TF's been a great inspiration, and just seeing that the number one coach just talks about how he never stopped. That really resonated with me. I could have done better than that, but that's what
you can't fail if you never quit. No, that was awesome. I will say this: what changed the game for me, because I wasn't a reader, was Audible, and then learning how to listen on 1.5 to 2x speed.
Yeah, those audiobooks. I gotta
hit that up.
Dude, if you haven't done that, like, it really did change the game for me. Of like, because I'm not a reader.
I love when you switch it and you can see it goes from like a 12-hour book to a 6-hour book. You're like,
you're like 1.5, 1.8 speed. At first, you think it's a different language, and then your brain just adjusts like the human brain. It's wild,
right? And then I know that there's a ton of books. Like, one time in 2017, 2018, I bought a bunch of entrepreneur books. I bought like a couple Gary Vee books, Crush It. There's some Peter Thiel book sitting right there that I've never read, 0 to 1, maybe it's called. And I know that I need to read books because I'm just losing so much information. I just consume so much content on YouTube. I consume all that self-help entrepreneurial like marketing practices on YouTube, but I'm literally just like making eggs or something. I always have my headphones in. So that's kind of my books, but I need to read because I need to also improve my vocabulary for sure.
Well, you're doing pretty well without it, Eric. We really appreciate following your journey and for coming on the podcast here to talk with us today. Before we close out, let people know how they can connect with you and learn about BAM.
Yeah, go on nowbam.com. We got daily blogs. Subscribe to our email list. Go on the Now BAM YouTube channel. Follow the Broke Agent and subscribe to BAM X. This is our course platform. We want to revolutionize real estate education. We have my Instagram course. We have objection handling. We have how to handle Zillow leads. We have a YouTube course for agents, and we have our entire private community and live streams. So check out BandMax. It's literally $120 a year, $15 a month. If you go monthly, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's nothing.
And tons of value. So get in there.
Love it, man. Thanks again. Thank you all for listening. You can get all those links that Eric mentioned over at staypaidpodcast.com along with the show notes for this episode. If you enjoyed this episode and want to show your support, head on over to Apple Podcasts, drop us a 5-star review along with a comment. The best way to support the show is simply to share the podcast with someone that you know. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com. And of course, you can follow us on Instagram. We are at StayPaidPodcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acre. Eric, man, thank you so much. You really are an inspiration. We've been watching your content, listening to your content for a long time, so really appreciate you. And I'm glad that you never quit because I'm loving what you're putting out, so really appreciate it. The action item for everybody listening to this that we want you to take away, I mean, just in listening to the guy, you get inspired by how he thinks about content, what he does for his brand. And I want to challenge you to think about your brand for a second. And one thing is, do you know who you are and do you know what you represent? And are you involved in that content? Because I think it's really easy to get into this system of leverage so much where you're outsourcing everything to VAs, you're using AI to clip up your reels, like you have no real actually investment in your content. And that was like super powerful to hear that he's still reviewing all of the stuff. It doesn't matter how big he's gotten, he's still reviewing all the stuff, and that was really powerful for me to hear. And I want you to think about YouTube, right? Because we are hearing YouTube over and over and over again. You got to take action on it. Remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every single business is top producers take action. Take action on that today.